My name is Daniela Genus. I am the founder of She's the Boss International, and throughout the talk I'll tell you what that is and why I'm the best person to be delivering this for you today. But what I want to be able to understand is who's in the room. So put your hand up if you already are running a business. There's two of you. How many of you have an actual active idea that you want to launch this year? Okay, great. How many of you are looking for an idea to launch or have an idea and not necessarily sure when you're going to launch it? Okay, is there anyone in here that has no interest in starting a business and is just here to smile and look at? Okay, great. Thanks for joining us anyway. So in this session, we're going to be going over a few things. So number one, what makes a good idea? So for those of you that are running businesses, you should still be generating new ideas on a regular basis. And for those of you who've got ideas that you want to launch now or later, I want to be able to get you to understand the process of developing a good idea and what a good idea looks like. And also, the main thing, whether you want to do it this year, next year, it shouldn't be longer than a year actually, but when are you going to launch your idea? What kind of key information and key skills and key knowledge and key things do you need to do to launch your idea? I want to get that across today. So a little bit about me. I launched my first business in 2007, Aspire for You, an event management and youth training company, which I ran for just over 10 years just under 10 years, sorry. I sold it a few years ago. I started my second business in 2013, which I sold, well, my business partner brought me out a couple of years after that. And She's the Boss International is actually my third business. I've supported over 50 SMEs and solopreneurs in the last 2 years to start their businesses or launch new business ideas, whether that be a new product or a new service. I have a master's in enterprise, and I also have an MBA specializing in strategy and innovation. So if you've never seen me before, if you've never heard of me, I hope that that gives you the confidence to know that I actually know what I'm talking about. I'm not just here to look cute. So the first starting point of today's workshop is having a good idea. What's a good idea? And somebody asked me before this session started, like, what actually makes a good business idea? What do you think are the elements that make up a good business idea? Anybody shout out? It meets a need. Yeah. Anything else? Remember I said this can't be a dry workshop, so I don't want you all just sitting, staring at me, waiting me to give you the answers. One of the things about the She's the Boss brand, I don't give the answers, I expect you to give them to me.
And it solves a problem.
It solves a problem, yeah. Creative. Does a good business idea have to be creative though? Generates profit. I'd say. Did everyone hear that? Okay, you have to have an interest in it. Does everybody agree that you have to have an interest in a business idea? I see some people nodding and some people saying no. Okay, I am not. As much as I'm delivering this workshop and I'm going to give you some nuggets that you should hopefully go away and implement, I am not the universal authority on what a good idea is. And I'm going to give you an example. A few years ago, my husband came to me and said, I've got this great idea for a business. So I said, what? He said, it's an app. Okay, tell me more. Everyone's always coming up with app ideas. Not everybody makes money from them, but go ahead, tell me. He said, what about if you could have an app and you could look at pictures of your friends and short videos? So the videos won't be long, maybe like 10, 15 seconds, and then you just scroll through and look at other people's pictures and videos. That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. What are you talking about? It's like, I think it would be cool. People can like other people's pictures and videos. Why would a video be 10 to 15 seconds long? And why do I want to sit and look at other people's pictures? That's a stupid idea. What is that idea? Some of the biggest social media platforms that have made their owners millionaires. To me, that was a stupid idea. I'm not the authority on ideas. The things that you've said, it needs to generate a profit. Yes, it does. A good business has to generate a profit. It has to meet a need and solve a problem. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Does it have to be something that you're interested in? Not necessarily. If you're starting from scratch and you don't have a lot of income, it's better that it is something that you're interested in because you're going to be working on it. But if you actually make it, you make a lot of money and have another idea for something that you're not interested in, you've got the money and the means to be able to pay somebody else to do it. So you don't always necessarily have to be interested in the idea. What you need to be able to do is recognize that this business idea or whatever it is, the concept, can solve a problem and meet a need in the marketplace. And they're the two most important things. The three most important things, because is it going to generate revenue? And a lot of the time where our businesses fall down is because we're not generating revenue. So how many of you, put your hand up, and it could be you, it could be a friend, it could be a family member. How many of you know someone or are someone that has a business that's not making any money? Oh, there's not a lot of you. So everyone you know is balling then, yeah? Okay, so a lot of people run businesses and outwardly it seems like they're running fantastic businesses. If you go and look at their bank account, there's no money in it. In fact, I met with a business last week who, as far as I was concerned, was doing very, very well. When I asked, I was doing a thingy on the wall, like a drawing, a diagram of what the business looks like. We get to the part where I say, how much are you earning on a monthly basis from your business? And the answer was 0. That's not a business. If no money is coming into the business, this is not profit, this is the business generating revenue? Like, is somebody paying for the product or service? If the answer is no, you're doing the wrong thing. It's not a business that's going to work. It's either you've got the wrong idea or you're not executing it properly. So actually, what is a good idea? A good idea is something that's solving a problem, that's meeting a need, and that is generating revenue. So there's something called the ideation process. Yeah, it's a 5-step process for taking an idea from concept to selling within the marketplace. So you start with your ideas, because you may have more than one idea to deliver the same thing. You then go on to evaluation. So that's evaluating the idea. Is the idea something that is worth pursuing? You then investigate and you develop. So investigation is looking at the marketplace, working out where the best market fit is. And then development is developing the idea so that it's ready to take to the marketplace. And then commercialization is around the most important part, making money. Now, how many of you in the room who have ideas or are running businesses, is the idea something to help your community? That's a very high proportion of people. Do you know how you're going to generate income from that? I want to see some strong heads like you, kind of not sure. Okay, have you done research to determine that the community that you want to help are going to pay you the money to deliver the service or make the product? Okay, your heads are looking a bit stronger, but still not. You don't look as convicted as I need you to be. This is the part that is the most important, the commercialization. So one of the areas that a lot of our community, and I'm going to say very specifically black people that I've come across, one of the key issues is they have fantastic ideas, but those ideas are always centered on helping the community. And actually, helping the community is not always the best way to help the community, if that makes sense. So spending time on commercialization is really important, because it may be that to help the community, you need to sell your products or services to not the community. Get the money from outside of our community to then go and deliver back inside. But again, I'm going to go back to that in a second. So when you're thinking about ideas, I've already given you an example of one that was a good idea that I thought was a terrible idea. Can you think about a product or service that you use now that has made an impact on your life that potentially would not have been seen as a good idea at the time? Because Instagram is obviously mine, because I thought it was a bad idea and clearly it wasn't. Just as a television example, so it's not a business. Has anyone heard of Gogglebox? Yeah. Does anybody, put your hand up if you watch Gogglebox. Right, put your hand up if when you heard the idea of Gogglebox, you thought it was ridiculous. Yeah, every Friday, and if it's not Friday, I'll watch it on Catch Up. I sit and watch Gogglebox and laugh my ass off. I find it hilarious. When I heard the advert, I was like, who is sitting down to watch people watch the television? That might be, again, the stupidest idea I've ever heard, yet it's fantastic and I watch it and I love it. Can you think of another concept like that, that initially you thought didn't make any sense?
Reality TV.
Yeah, reality TV. Reality TV makes a lot of money, but when you think about it, we're just watching people doing their daily nonsense. Like, is this really something that somebody should be paying, some of them, like thousands of pounds in advertising for people to walk up and down and do nothing? Anything else? Who uses Amazon? Who uses Amazon Prime? Who uses Amazon specifically for Amazon Prime? Because I'm on Amazon pretty much every day. Like, I think I need to like lock my account or something because it's a problem. When I first heard about this kind of instant delivery thing, the 2-hour delivery in particular, why would anybody need a 2-hour delivery? When I needed some tights the other day, because I was going through, I needed a 2-hour delivery. It didn't come and I didn't order it, but I thought, this is what people need that 2-hour delivery for. This makes sense. So when you're thinking of ideas as well, it's not always the whole entire business idea. Think about the ideas that seem ridiculous within a business model or an existing business, because sometimes that's where you can have the biggest innovations. There's other websites that you can order stuff, like there's loads of websites where you can order stuff online, but how many of them can promise that they get it to you the next day or within 2 hours? Really, Amazon is pretty much at the top of the hierarchy when it comes to those websites. And going back to what makes a good idea, what's the problem? That is normally the first place that you should start. And people don't normally start at this point. People normally start with, oh, I've got this great idea, I want to do this because I like it, because I'm interested in it, so I want to do it. What you think is, well, as we've already established, what I think is a good idea doesn't mean everybody else thinks it's a good idea. Just because something seems like a good idea to you does not mean that people want it. Like, what is fantastic to you might be absolutely nonsense to the next person. What differentiates between you just having a fantastic idea and you being able to go out and sell that is understanding the problem. So the first place you start is looking at developing a problem statement. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? So for those of you who have a business, if you could just raise your hands again quickly. Okay, 3 of you. Can one of you tell me what the problem is that you're solving?
I suppose in my case, it's the fact that now that we're in the UK, a lot of us have dual nationalities and stuff like that. So creating a bridge where, by the way, my business is Ankara clothing, but made in European styles, where people who are, in my case, African and British, will feel comfortable in wearing an African element of stuff, but in a European way. So that's my, because I wouldn't want to wear the way they wear in Africa, like, you know, the whole, and at the same, like, I wouldn't want to do that like on my day to day, and at the same time, I want to be in touch with that part of my culture as well. So that's the problem.
Is that the problem? Do you guys know what the problem is? Nod, or you guys are quiet, like shout. Do you understand the problem? Yes, no, maybe so? You think so? So I'm going to say that the problem is there's British people that want to wear African traditional clothing in a Western style, and there's nobody there's nobody that's providing that. Well, there is people. Yeah, there's not enough.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, it's not mainstream.
So that's the problem. Yeah. So this is, again, be very clear on the difference between what you're providing and what the problem is. And what the problem is not always what you think the problem is. So we're going to come on to that in a minute. So opportunity statement. What is the opportunity? So given this young lady's example, what is her opportunity? You definitely should know the answer to this yourself. No, I'm asking everyone, but you should have jumped up and answered. So the opportunity is, there's how many thousands of British black people in the UK. There's an opportunity for you to target that market and sell your items to them. That's the opportunity. The opportunity is to capitalize on the very limited availability of African clothing in Western styles. That's the opportunity. So those two things are your starting point. What is the problem and what is the opportunity? Does everybody understand that, right? And when you're creating your problem statement, you need to be quite succinct. This is the problem. The problem is there are this amount of people in the UK that want this type of thing, and this is why it's a problem to them, because there isn't a load of other organisations that are producing this stuff, or you can't get it on the high street, or it's too expensive, because grass fields I love, but my gosh, they're very expensive, so we should have a word afterwards. And then the same with your opportunity statement. What is the opportunity? Be very specific. How big is the marketplace? And a lot of this stuff you can just find on Google. But the problem is, a lot of the time, people just, I've got this great idea, I'm just going to run with it, and don't take the very short amount of time it takes to do a little bit of research. So research. And be focused on what. So what is it that is the problem? What is the opportunity? What is the task that you need to achieve? So also keeping in mind, and I'm going to go into a little bit more about vision in a second, but what is the vision for your life? And this sounds like it's two complete ends of the spectrum. But if you're going to be generating a business, or if you're going to be adding a new part of your business, does it contribute to your overall vision? And if it doesn't, what are you doing it for? Because everything is either moving you closer to your vision or moving you further away. And a financial, getting money from it is not always the best thing either. Just because something can give you financial returns doesn't mean that it's going to add value to you getting closer to your vision. It's just going to put some extra money in your pocket, which you might want to say yes to if you're feeling a bit broke. But generally, the mission isn't always just about getting money. It's about getting to that end vision. And every opportunity is going to move you closer to that or move you further away. So be very clear on the difference. What are, well, you need to set your target. What is the job that you're trying to do? So your job, you're just going to be my guinea pig for today. Your job is, I'm going to assume, to create high quality items that are going to be attractive to your target audience. So think about what it is that you're trying to do and be specific. And it has to be a real need, not just one that you've just made up. I had a meeting with somebody last year, and they told me what their business idea was. And I said, so what's the, like, who needs this? I don't know, everyone. Who is everyone? Everyone in the UK. Everyone in the UK does not want to buy your stuff because, number one, I don't want to buy it, and I'm in the UK. So what, like, who is it that you're trying to sell? And she was adamant, no, everybody's going to want to buy this thing. Everybody doesn't want to buy your thing. And actually, you don't want to be targeting everyone, because by targeting everyone, you're targeting nobody. I target ambitious female entrepreneurs that want to start or grow service-based businesses in the UK specifically, and that can afford to pay me at least £1,000 to do so. Everybody doesn't fit into that bracket. I don't need everyone to fit into that bracket. Does that mean if somebody comes and they're a man and they want to pay me £3,000, I'm going to say no? Well, of course I'm not. I'm going to say yes, come. And actually, interestingly, even though I target women, probably about 60% of my clientele is men. I don't know how this has happened. I think men just like me cussing them, to be honest. But when I'm promoting my services, because I'm very clear on who my target audience is, when I did my problem statement was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was something along the lines of, women need support from women with experience, with their education, with the knowledge, with the skills, to help them get their business from A to B. They also need it to be, if they're moms, to be at times that they can access the support when their kids are either in bed or in school. That was the problem I was trying to solve. So if you can work out the problem, what then happens is you generate additional ideas. So if that's my problem, what's the first thing I think? Well, I can do the face-to-face consultancy stuff, but actually, am I going to a woman's house at 10 o'clock at night? No, I don't want to do that. But what I could do is do a Zoom call. So one of my clients, for example, we have a session like every, one Saturday every month at 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock. If I had to physically go out and meet her, I wouldn't be, I'm just not doing that. Like, where do I want to be at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning? Nowhere. So I get out of my bed, I brush my teeth, wash my hair, I have my pajama bottoms underneath. I put on a top so it looks like I actually like bathed already, even though most of the time I haven't. And I deliver my program. But from that, I then look at, again, we go back to the original problem. So I've solved one, so I can now be accessible. Maybe I need to have downloadables. So now I'm developing training programs, because then I can give you the same knowledge without me physically having to do it, but it means you can also access it at a time that is suitable for you, not a time that is suitable for me, because most times are not suitable for me because I don't want to wake up too early and I don't want to go to bed too late. So I have to develop my ideas around that. I'm also developing a range of products. So my working title for one is Daniela in a Box. Clearly I'm not going to call it that, but the idea is all of the kind of guidance, the advice, the tools that I've developed, can I put it in a box that you go through a card every day, do something off this card every day, and once you've got through the whole pack of cards, your business is built. I don't have to be there to physically do it. Now, had I started with the idea, I'm going to be a consultant, would that idea have come about? It came about because I started with the problem. The problem is women need this help and they need it in a time that is suitable for them based on their schedules and their life. So think about the attributes. Also think about the benefits. So for me, what I offer, the benefits are that you can access it at different times. The benefits are, as a woman, I can relate to the problems that you're going to be going through as a woman, which if I was a man, I potentially wouldn't be able to do. How many of you have conducted any market research? Ever? One. You are like my star pupil today. I just want to give you a clap because you've done everything correct. So I don't know how you can be in the room and started a business if you haven't done any market research. So problem number one, you need to go home and do some market research. I'm just going to put that out there. That's how you verify. So I asked the question, but I've actually answered it. How do you verify your assumptions? What you think is the problem, as I said, may not be the problem. What you think is the need may not be the need. What you think is the value may not always be the value. You need to verify your assumptions. You do that by going out and doing market research. Evidence always beats opinion. And I'm going to give you an example of this. One of my clients runs a personal training gym. And when we met, he was talking about he wants to scale up, he wants to do all these things. I said to him, what is the value that you bring to your customers? So he said, well, I help them make more make better choices when it comes to nutrition. That was what he said was the value that he brings. I actually was his client as well. So he was my client, I was his client. He was trying to get me in shape. Clearly it's not worked because I'm really sucking my belly in right now so I don't breathe out. But that's because I stopped going. But I was able to say to him, that's not your value because I'm one of your clients. I don't care about nutrition. Like, I like to eat cake. I'm sure somebody probably saw me today walking around with the waffle stuff in my face. I like dessert. The value hasn't got anything to do with nutrition. The value is, I want to get a flat stomach so that when I go on holiday, I can wear a bikini. I can't do it on my own because as we've just established, I like food too much. I need someone that is going to make sure that I go to the gym, and when I get to the gym, I'm not going to do 1 minute on the running machine and leave, which is what I normally do. I need someone that's going to get in my face and is going to tell me, do it, do it, do it. That's the value that you bring to me. He didn't verify his assumptions. He just assumed that's what it was. So in his marketing materials, he's pushing about this stuff. I can help you with your nutrition. I'm going to help you eat better. Half of the people that he works with don't care about that. What they care about is getting rock solid abs so they can look sexy at the beach. If he doesn't go out and ask, how's he going to know? So verify your assumptions. You need to look at the macro environment as well. Has everyone or anyone heard of PESTLE analysis? Okay, that's good. 2 thumbs up. So PESTLE analysis is looking at the macro environment that your business will operate within. So the P stands for political, E environmental, S societal, T technological, L legal, and E is, didn't I just say it? Economical, yeah. So I always get the E because I forget when I say one E versus other E. So what is going on in the world around you? And again, people don't necessarily pay attention. If you were planning on starting a business in 2008, what elements from the PESTLE would you need to consider? Why economical? Yeah, recession. If you were starting a business in 2008 and hadn't looked at I can't speak, the economy, you'd be setting yourself up for a problem, particularly depending on what sector you was operating in. But people didn't have any money. The world was kind of going crazy around us. But people don't pay attention to these things. If somebody is a travel agent that specializes in trips to China right now, how well do you think that they're doing? Well, if they had done a peso, maybe, and there's certain things that you just cannot predict. You can't predict. Like nobody would have predicted that the coronavirus was going to come and be taking people out. However, if you look at your environment and you start to do kind of risk analysis and kind of guess some of the things that can happen, you can also get new ideas that can help you combat any of these things that could impact your business negatively. So if you are a travel agent that specializes in China, you know that anything happens, and China's a volatile place, so really you should already be thinking this, but if anything happens in the region of China, you know your business is going to suffer. So how do you maximize your opportunity while you can, or how do you add on a different element so you're not reliant on one market? And speaking of markets, you need to segment your market. So everybody is not your customer. If there's one thing that I want you to leave knowing, this is that one thing. I want you to remember everything else, but I know that people's heads are full. So this one thing is the one thing you need to... Everybody is not your target market. You need to break down your target market. So even within the women that I've said, and I was quite specific, I have women that are running startup businesses. I have women that are running businesses that have 10 to 15 members of staff. That's segmenting your market. So you've got your overall market, which should be a specific group of people anyway, but within that group, you're going to also have additional groups. So I said mothers, for example. By segmenting your market, you're then able to offer value to each group within the market. So you have your overall product or service, but then you can create spin out or additional things specifically to those segments. You can also market specifically to those segments as opposed to just everyone. If I'm specifically focusing on the mums in business, I'm going to speak to them in a very different way than I would speak to maybe the startups that are aged 20 to 25. With the language is not necessarily going to be the same. So segmenting your market is important. And then when you're doing your market research, look at those segments. So start with that. Don't wait till the business is already up and running to then do it retrospectively, because you're wasting time. Test early and refine later. So you've got your kind of hypotheses of what you think the problem is. Go out and test if that's the actual problem. Do it as quick as possible, because then you can make changes which then may lead to getting better business in the future, or being able to segment your market a little bit more specifically. Create a customer persona. This is one of my favorite things to do. So you segmented your market. So let's say there's kind of 4 different segments. Give them a name. And this sounds a bit hairy-fairy, but it works, trust me. Give them a name and create a profile for that individual segment. So for me, I've got one, well, I've got a few, but Sarah, I always use Sarah because it's just an easy. Is anyone in the room called Sarah, by the way? No, okay, good. So I have Sarah. Sarah is 34. She runs a small business in Birmingham city centre. She has 5 members of staff. Her annual turnover for her business is £100,000. Sarah likes to go out. She's engaged. She doesn't have any kids. She loves using the internet. She likes Instagram. She's an Instagram fanatic. How do I market to Sarah? Yeah, and that's the point of creating a customer persona. When you do really good personas, you're able to work out how to market them. You also should include stuff such as, what is their sales process? Like how many times do you need to contact her or him before the sale is actually achieved? What's her pains? Has everybody heard of the business model canvas? Write it down, buy the book, it's fantastic. So once you've got your ideas and you've gone out and you've tested them to see if they're actually valuable. And also, sorry, just going back to that point quickly, the truth of your target audience isn't always the truth. So this is like completely contradictory to what I just said. But even when you're verifying, I know it's contradictory, even when you're verifying, you need to be clear as well that sometimes people don't know what they want. So, does anybody remember the days when phones used to have buttons on them? Those long days, way back in the past. I remember when they were saying that they're going to have just touch screens, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I need the buttons. And I was probably, you know, the people that just keep their phones for way too long, and the phone's not working, but I don't want to give up the buttons. I love a touch screen now, to the point that my computer at home is touch screen. Like, the whole concept of, I hate the fact that when I need to turn over the TV, I can't just go and touch. And when I use other people's computers, people see me all the time, like trying to move the screen. Because I love touchscreen, I don't need buttons anymore. So had the people that were doing the new touchscreen phones come and done market research with me, I would have said, like if they were saying we're going to do this new phone, there's not going to be any buttons, I'd have said no. I think we can establish that I'm just not very good with ideas, just across the board. But I would have said no, because I need buttons. However, when I actually managed to get the first touchscreen phone, loved it. So, even though you need to verify your assumptions, you also need to keep it in mind that sometimes people don't know what they want. So it's a very fine line. You have a question?
How do you manage that? How do you, essentially they're giving you kind of misleading information based on your research. So do you...
Well, there's two things. Number one, you need to make sure that the research isn't leading, because then people will, if you say, do you think this is a good idea, people will say yes or no. It's not whether you think it's a good idea, that's not really the question. The questions could be around, what do you currently do now? How familiar or how comfortable are you with the idea of that? So it's really how you word your market research, number one. And then number two, it's about testing and refining. So obviously in the case of the phone, that nobody came to me to ask Daniela, what's your opinion? Because who cares what my opinion is? However, they must have gone out to someone. So what they would have done is given them the phones and let them use it. So now the feedback from that is going to be more reliable. So had they came and gave me the phone, my response would have been completely different to them asking me, do you want a phone that don't have keys? Because I would have said no. So sometimes it's about actually testing and refining, and I'm going to come on to that in the next slide. So you've done all of that stuff, then you should be looking at the business model canvas. Everyone's heard of a business plan, right? How many people have done a business plan before? How many pages? 3? That's a good business plan. Anyone got higher than 3? How much? 6? 6. Okay, you guys are not doing too bad. I've got people that have brought 22-page business plans to me. And I'm like, this is too much. Nobody's got time to read 22 pages. The business model canvas is like a mini business plan. So you can get a big board. I've got a big, massive board in the boot of my car, actually, if anyone's interested to come and have a look afterwards. But it's a big A something board with these segments, like spaces to write underneath. So you've got your customer segments to break down who the customers are, their pains, the pains that they have that you're solving, the gains that they want from your product or service. Then the value proposition. Does everyone know what value proposition is? So it's the statement that explains the value that you bring to your customers. So when I asked my personal trainer guy, what's the value? His value was, I help people make better nutritional choices. I said, no, the value is you help people get summer bodies for their bikinis. And that is the difference. And when you're communicating what your idea is, you're not necessarily communicating the thing. And a lot of the time, where we go wrong is we communicate the thing. So am I communicating that I'm a consultant? Like, is that what my marketing should be? No, because so what if you're a consultant? What I need to communicate is, I can help you take your business idea from an idea to a fully functioning, commercialized, sustainable business. That's the value. And a lot of the time people miss that and focus on the thing as opposed to the value proposition. So developing a strong value proposition is around looking at what is the problem that you're solving and what is the solution that you're providing. That's your value proposition. What are the revenue streams? Huge part, because people have these ideas and don't work out how they're going to generate income. How are you going to make money from this idea? What are you selling? What are people paying for the items or the service that you're providing? What are the channels that you're going to use to take it to market? Are you going to sell via website? Are you going to do pop-up shops? Are you going to do mail order? What's the methods that you're going to use to take your product or service to your market? What customer relationships are you going to have? So for me, even though I planned it, my customer relationships were supposed to be, you can catch me from 9 to 5. Obviously what's happened is I get friendly with people, they've got my WhatsApp, people send me messages at 11 o'clock at night saying I'm having a meltdown, can you help me? So I need to work on my customer relationships. But what kind of relationships do you want? And you need to know that from the beginning so that you set the tone. So do as I say, not as I do, because clearly I didn't do that. What are the key activities that you're going to be doing? What are the key resources that you need? And this is an important one. And this business model canvas you can use for starting a new business, you can use for refining an existing business, or you can use because you're launching a new product or service within your business. Because if you're launching something new to your existing business, you still need to know what the key resources are that you require. Who are the key partners that you can work with? And this is a really important thing. If you've got an idea, you don't have to do the idea on your own, particularly if you need resources. Can you partner with somebody that may have half of the resources that you need? A lot of the time, we want to get all of the praise. And actually, in trying to get all of the praise, we're slowing ourselves down, because actually, if you attach to somebody else that's doing something similar, you can move forward quicker. What's that phrase? If you want to go fast, go a lot. No, what was it? If you want to go fast.
If you want to go somewhere, go alone, but if you want to go fast, go for somewhere.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm always quoting phrases, but never know how to say them. You got the gist. You understand where I was going, yeah. And then cost structure. So are you charging everybody one flat rate? Are there going to be different prices? Are you going to have a monthly subscription? Are you going to have an annual fee? Do you do discount if people book in advance? What is the cost structure? And be very clear on that. And also, where possible, don't move from that. And that's a really important thing, because when you're starting out, and in a few of the talks today, I've heard people speaking about imposter syndrome and confidence and that kind of thing. Sometimes when you're starting, you feel like, oh, people are not going to pay because who am I? Nobody knows who I am. Maybe I should just reduce my costs or reduce my price and then people pay. No, now people just think that you're cheap, and now you're just cheap. And how do you put the prices back up when you've been known to be cheap? If you go to Primark and Primark suddenly starts selling clothes for like £70 for a pair of jeans, are you buying it?
They tried it and it didn't sell. They had to put it on sale. Like they sold like a coat for £100. Nobody bought it.
Well, and this is the thing, and this is why I say it's so important when you go into market. Don't go in trying to be cheap unless you're staying cheap. Charge the rate. Now that doesn't mean that you can't say, and don't do what I don't know if anyone else gets these stupid messages in their Instagram, like, we can look after your social media, we can do all of this. It's supposed to cost £5,999 for 6 months, but for today, just for you, we'll do it for $22.99. Okay, like, don't be ridiculous. But if whatever it is that you're selling costs £200, you can say, as a special introductory offer, I'm doing it for $125. Like, that's okay. But be reasonable with it. Like, don't be like those people that slide in your DMs talking nonsense.
In terms of like, if it's a service, do you look at your competitors and what they're charging to like pitch where you start off? Like, if you just know nothing about how you start.
Yeah. If you don't know pricing, research what are the competitors charging. And again, you need to work out where you're positioning yourself. So if you're going to open a supermarket, are you trying to compete with Waitrose or Lidl? Because you can't be trying to compete with Waitrose and charging Lidl prices, and you can't be trying to compete with Lidl and charging Waitrose prices. And then your marketing also comes into that, because if you're trying to be Waitrose, I need to see some Waitrose level products and branding. If you're trying to be Lidl, it doesn't really matter. Oh, let me go quick. So yeah, that's the business model canvas. So how do you test? You create a minimum viable product or service. Has anyone heard of the MVP? So basically, it's the idea that you want to get something out to market so you can get that kind of feedback so you can improve upon. Anyone heard of Lean Startup? It's a very good book. You should read it. Eric Lees, I think it's called. So it's about getting stuff out as quickly and as cheaply as possible. I think that they say don't do any market research. I don't agree with that 100%. Still do the market research. But as you can see in this picture, what they were trying to do was get to number 4. The first iteration of it looked like that. When they relaunched the second time, it looked like that. When they relaunched the third time, it looked like that. Once they'd gathered all of that feedback, they created number 4. And you see this in lots of industries where you get your kind of first, well, phones are the most obvious one. Anyone have a Samsung? I have a Samsung S9. There was a Samsung S8, S7, S6. They still haven't reached number 4 yet. We're probably still somewhere around here. Soon they're going to I think I saw them things where you have the phone in is it your hand or your wrist? It's weird, I don't want no part of that. But it's about ideation, generating new ideas consistently, continually adding and evolving. And not all innovations need to be like world-changing, life-changing things. Sometimes it can be about making small and incremental changes. And that can be enough to make a huge difference. So when we're speaking about ideas as well, and your minimal viable product or service, don't think that it has to be something that's going to rock the world. Like, you're not trying to necessarily, although it would be great if you could, create Uber. You just want to generate something that's going to give you enough money to like live, I suppose. And we're trying to be rich. Let's not lower our standards too much. But don't think that it has to be something that nobody's ever heard of, because the chances of coming up with something totally and utterly unique at this point are slim to none. I'm still trying to work on it myself because I want a yacht in the Caribbean, but it's probably not going to happen. Not right now anyway. So we're doing slow and incremental changes. So for me, as I said, I do my consultancy and stuff. So what can I offer? I can offer a product. Is a product something totally unique? No, it's not, but to my target audience, it's something they don't have yet. Finance is very important. Number 1, how much money do you need to start your business? Can you get a loan? Can you do a crowdfunder? What are the methods that you're going to use to generate income? Know that. And also plan, forecast. How much money do you need to be making each month? What is your break-even point? At what point do you break even? Does everybody understand break-even point? So if something costs £100 to make, let's say it's a product. I think I'm giving the right example. Costs £100 to make. You're charging £100. You need to break even 1 client. Because if you get 1 person pay you, you've covered that £100 that you spent. To make a profit, you need 2. Because now you've got £200 and it costs £100, so you've got £100 profit. Your break-even point is the number of sales that you need to come in to cover all costs. Everybody needs to know their break-even point before they start. Because otherwise, you're going to always be operating at a loss because you don't even know how many sales you need to bring in to hit that break-even point. So you need to calculate that, and you need to give yourself financial targets and stick to them. Like, I've met so many people that they've given themselves financial targets, and I say, well, what was the target for last month? Oh, well, it was £2,000. Well, how much did you make? I don't know, like £25. So what was you doing to try and make the £2,000? Well, it was a quiet month. No, if you're going to set a financial target, work till you get to that financial target. And it doesn't mean you're going to hit it every month, but if you're not even paying attention to it, you're going to be like this person making £25 when they're supposed to be making £2,000. And when you look at those figures, it looks exciting, right? Like, ooh, 6 months I'm going to be turning over £4,000 in my account. But you're sitting there for 6 months, not doing anything to get the £4,000 in your account, and then wondering why you don't have £4,000 in your account. So project it, forecast it, and do the activity that you need to make it. I'm going to like go 100 miles per hour now. Vision, know what your vision is. So I always do a 3-year vision because I think 5 is too long and 1's too short. Where do you want to be in 3 years? And where does that idea that you have sit within that? Be very descriptive. So I get my clients to design their whole 3-year life. What does it look like? Where are you living? What does your office look like? How much money is in your bank account? Where are you going on holiday? What are you doing on a daily basis? What does your life look like in 2023? Be very clear on that. Print it out, stick it on your wall, read it every day. It will motivate you. From that vision, work out your action plan. So goals. So we're going into the part of how do you bring this vision, these ideas to reality? How do you commercialize? You do it by taking action. So, what are the goals that you need to achieve to get you to that 3-year vision? So if the vision is in 3 years, I want to be like an international mogul, what do you need to achieve in 2020, 2021, and 2022 in terms of goals? Make the goals smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. What are the goals? From the goals, break down the action. What are the actions you need to achieve to be able to achieve those goals? And what are the tasks that need to be taken place to achieve the action? So if it's in 2020, this is a goal of mine actually, 2020 I need to significantly increase my personal profile in order to be able to secure an international speaking gig. That's the goal. The actions are I need to have a speaker profile, I need to get a speaker reel, which is why I'm being filmed right now so it can go on my speaker reel. I need to send the speaker reel out to all of these people. The tasks, which is something I did the other day, I sat down and made a list of 50 events that I want to speak at, and I'm going to send that speaker profile to. I print these things out and put them on my wall. Now every day, for me, every day from now until the end of the year, I know what I need to do because it's on a board on my wall. That helps move you forward. It motivates you because you're looking at the vision, and my vision includes me on a beach. Clearly the bikini body thing I gave up, but I've got a nice cover up on and I'm looking at the sunset and I'm drinking cocktails. That's my vision, and I want to be able to do that every 3 months. In order to achieve that, I need to get my money up. To get my money up, I need to do more speaking engagements. To do more speaking engagements, I need to send out my speaker profile. Every single day, I can do something on that list. So when I see you again at this event next year, I'll be telling you about how I'm sipping like cocktails on the beach, speaking at my international gig in Kenya. That's the plan. And then quickly, do you want to make a business sustainable? Do you want to build a business? Do you want to take your idea to something that turns into a job? Do you want to be chained to a desk? Do you want to have to be doing everything? Because we have these kind of lofty ambitions of being these entrepreneurs, but actually sometimes what we're doing is turning our idea into a job for ourselves. And what's the point? Because actually, if you're going to get a job, go and work for somebody else, because at least when the day's done, you can go home and relax your skin. If you create a business that's a job for yourself, you're working all day and you're working all night. And entrepreneurship, it kind of works like that anyway. But you don't want to be doing that forever. So start as you mean to go on. Map out your processes. And I was going to say what I said already, so again, I keep contradicting myself. But please, if there's anything that you're going to take away, take this away. Again. Build your business with processes in mind. Build your business as though you're going to sell it. That means you need to list and map how you do everything. How do you do the marketing? How do you deliver your service? How do you manage your finances? How do you do everything? And you can go on Word or Microsoft Office, insert Smart Art, and look at, there's process maps in there. What do you do? So just a quick one. I've just put step 1, step 2, step 3 here, but how do you deal with incoming calls? Number 1, answer the phone and read the script. Now you have to create the script. Number 2, send a follow-up email within 24 hours. Number 3, send a chase email within 3 days. That's how we deal with calls. If you map that out, what happens when you need your sister to come and cover you? Now she can follow your instruction. And you know it's going to be to the set, well, as long as your sister's a decent sister and she's doing a good job. But now you know that she's going to do it how you want it to be done. Now imagine if you can do that for your whole entire business. Imagine the strength of your business. Now you're more investable, you're less vulnerable, and when you're taking on staff, which I hope that at some point you all will, now you've got staff that can follow instruction. You don't have to sit with them telling them what to do. You can hand over an operations manual, train them for like a couple of hours. Now they can go away and do it. Your business will be stronger. Always aim for this to be the end goal. Build your business as though you're building it to sell it, and you'll build it properly. And you're going to hear this and you're going to do what people do all the time, like, yeah. When I start to get staff, I'll do it. And if that's what you do, I want you to remember this voice in your head saying, I told you so. Because when your staff come on, you don't have time to be doing that. So do it before the staff come. Otherwise, you're going to end up doing it retrospectively and then taking on staff turns out to be a hindrance as opposed to a help, because now you're spending all of your time telling them what to do and telling them how to do it. They're not going to do it as good as you because you haven't given them a blueprint to tell them how to do it. And then you launch. So you've found your finance, you've done your business model canvas, you've done your market research, you know that there's a problem, you've provided a solution, you've done a bit of testing, now you want to do your full launch. So just the 4 of the key things: brand development. Make sure that you get professionals to develop your branding and your kind of colour schemes, your logos. Don't just do stuff on Word because it looks cheap. And you're not trying to be cheap. That's not what we're going for. So really spend some time understanding what is the tone of voice that you want your business to have, what is the kind of positioning. As I said, are you trying to be a Waitrose or are you trying to be a Lidl? And make sure you cultivate a brand that people want to pay you to deliver stuff for them. Sales activity is key. Make sure that you do sales activity on a day-to-day basis. Like, that's not something that you can wait for. Finance is key. You only get the finance if you get the sales. If you don't work on sales, you don't get paid. As I said, I spoke to a business recently who their monthly income figures, their sales figures was 0. You don't want zeros. Like, zeros don't pay no bills and they don't take you on holiday, and you want to go on holiday. Like, make sure you're doing regular sales activity. If you don't like sales, pay somebody to come and do it for you. I always suggest that you do it yourself in the early stages because nobody knows your business better than you. But if you're really averse to it, get somebody to do it for you. Be consistent. So make sure that whatever activity it is that you're doing, whether that's going to be social media marketing or whatever, be consistent with it. Don't start and stop and start and stop because people will not take you seriously. And as I just said, if you don't like something or you can't do something and it's possible, outsource. Like, you shouldn't be doing everything if you don't have to. And actually, trying to do everything sometimes put you at a disadvantage because you're taking too long and you're not going to do it as good as someone else anyway. So pay somebody else to do it. There's virtual assistants, you can get accountants. There's people that will manage your social media for you, not the people that slide in your DMs because we don't like them, but actually proper people that can do these things. If it's something that is taking time away from you going out and getting sales, pay somebody else to do it. Or partner with somebody else, because sometimes you might be able to do something for someone else and then they can do something for you. So keep that in mind. And then finally, think big, take action, keep pushing. So you have your big ideas. Take action, go out, develop it, do your research, launch it, and then keep pushing, keep consistent. Make sure that every single day you're doing something that is taking you towards that end vision. Operational stuff is great, but actually, operational stuff is just for here and now. Your strategic business development activity, the stuff that is moving you closer to your vision, you have to do that every day. And if you don't, you'll find that you're going to get to the end of the year and you're still sitting here with this idea and you're dreading coming back to be on here next time because you're going to say that Daniela's going to find me and ask me what happened to that business idea from a full year ago that I haven't actually done anything with. So be consistent. And then finally, follow me on social media. Does anyone have any questions? Somebody must have one question because I know I'm good, but I don't think I'm that good that there's not a question in the house. No?
Yes. You know, when you were talking about testing and refining, what would be your examples for doing that for a service rather than a product?
Well, a few things. I would definitely always try to do kind of a service trial. So for me, for example, when I started doing what I was doing, I got 3 people in business and said I would offer them a 3-month package for a course that I was developing. And then I got all of the testimonials from them. They gave me the feedback. So that then I was able to refine it before I launched properly and work out what was missing and what additions needed to be made. So I would always recommend doing trials. And in the first instance, it's going to cost you your time, but normally it shouldn't be more than that. And if you're offering it to someone for free, and this is the difference between cheap and like this is for like research purposes, not because I'm giving it to you for free, and making sure that you get testimonials agreed beforehand, then you can get your feedback from there. Any more for anyone? Okay, I must have done a great job. Thank you.